Thanks for dropping in. This is Zaggrivation, a 3D printed strategy game for up to 4 players. The goal is to create the longest unbroken chain in your color. It sounds simple, but your opponents aren't going to make things easy. You'll have to balance growing your chain, controlling territory, and blocking off other players. The board adds its own twist to the challenge. These zigzag paths limit your options to expand, and they create unexpected changes to the flow of the game. Every player's turn involves adding 2 tokens to the field. Will you divide your effort, or double down on an overwhelming attack? Whatever you do, don't create an opportunity for your opponents to cut you off. The game gets even crazier and more strategic in 2-player matches. In this scenario, each player controls 2 colors at once. Will you dedicate both of your token drops to a single color, or take a more balanced approach? In the end, the total length of the longest chain for each of your colors combine to create a final score. Using only one color to gain territory, while dedicating the other to disruptive moves, is unlikely to earn a winning score, so plan accordingly. That should cover the basics, but the game has a few additional rules to balance things out and handle odd situations that arose while playtesting. In the case of a tie, the player who started later in the play order wins. A token cannot be moved once it's released. Since 3D printing is an inexact process, it is possible for a token to jam. If this happens, you are allowed to knock it loose so it falls into its expected spot. When less experienced players are learning the game, you can set an agreed number of bonus points before starting that'll supplement their final score. Before starting a 2-player game, you can choose to force both players to use each of their colors every round. This removes some of the strategy, but it makes learning the game easier. If you'd like your own copy, this is a really easy print. Absolutely none of the parts require supports. Some pieces, like the board itself, must print perfectly flat. So if curling or bed adhesion is an issue, you may want to add a brim on just those parts. Most of the print time will go to making the tokens. You'll need 56 tokens total. That's 4 colors, with 14 tokens each. Zaggrivation doesn't have an official color scheme, but try to select token colors that are easy to distinguish. Once printed, the tokens just screw together. The threads should be loose enough to tighten by hand, but results will depend on your printer, filament, and settings. If the threads are too loose, add a drop of glue to hold everything together. And if they're too tight, lubricate it with water or silicone oil, and try again. Finally, slide the 2 feet onto the board, and you're ready to play. When you're done, the game includes an optional storage bin to keep tokens from going missing. Or you can store the tokens within the board itself, and seal them with a sliding lock bar. While designing Zaggrivation, I realized that the system could be reused for a classic 4-in-a-row style game, so I created a second board with purely vertical channels. Both boards use the exact same tokens, so you can get more gaming with very little extra print time. All the printing advice is the same as before. Just make sure you print 21 copies of each token color instead of 14. I won't waste your time going over the rules for this game, but if you're familiar with the Captain's Mistress, Connect 4, or 4 in a line, you know how this game works. That's all the 3D printed gaming for now. If you like quick strategy games, I hope you give Zaggrivation a try, and let me know if you come up with any alternate rules to make it even better. But until then, happy printing, and thanks for stopping by. Thanks for sticking around to the end. Since you did, I'll give you a behind-the-scenes peek at the development for Zaggrivation. Here's one of the board layouts I tested. These steeper zigzags put the tokens into a hexagonal honeycomb layout. Sadly, this is one of the rare times that hexagons are not the bestagons. The layout looks cool, but game pieces quickly locked out portions of the board. The creation of these voids made rounds too short. And even worse, each token had 6 valid spots to continue a chain. That's too easy. The game would frequently end in a tie, where both players had 14 token long chains. Well, I guess that's what playtesting's for.